we're actually on hospitals from New York to California to Hawaii. We just started in London in January. We actually have a hospital here in Washington State. And it came from a technology that might have maybe 100 years ago was used on ballistic cardiography. And we basically embed sensors that weren't available back then with signal processing technology that wasn't available back then. But what we've also done is connected every bed. Effectively, we can connect every bed to the internet. Now, in a hospital, that's an interesting issue because you've got patient privacy issues, that sort of thing. What you'll see outside the door here, I was going to say, in addition to taking a ride on the Tesla electric car, which is very cool, you can take a spin on the life bed. Cool. In particular, that's called a life gurney, and it's for the emergency department. And what's happening around the U.S. is people are losing their health care insurance. They wait till the last minute to go to the hospital. They get packed in the hallways, and they just get forgotten about, and sometimes they just die. We alert when someone's either dead, they're almost dead, they're getting out of bed and they're not supposed to. There's a little voice that'll tell you, get back into bed. You would be shocked at how well that works. and we can do it in other languages. We did this in a community in the central U.S. where it was in Bosnian, and it works very well. If you think about it, what happens is when, like a lot of us here, you're in a strange hotel room. You get up in the middle of the night, you look to find the restroom. Now imagine doing that on drugs. And the likelihood of having an accident is pretty high. That little feature makes a huge difference. But we find people that, you know, they just stop breathing. They get too much of a drug. Somebody thought they were Mr. Jones and they were Mr. Smith. And we found this in every hospital we've been in around the entire United States. So we improve the quality of care. We improve the outcome. We reduce risk. We save lives. And we save money. Now, there was a study that was done, actually by an insurance group. It was done in Hawaii. Hawana is a Hawaiian word that means to measure. And they found that by paying, this insurance group pays for their members in the hospital $18 a day per bed. When they do that, they save $1.30 for every dollar they spend. And they reduce the risk of injury and death. So it's good all the way around, and we see it as part of the issue on national health care and how we're going to improve the quality and reduce the cost. And at that point, we're actually in a hospital in New York City in the Bronx, probably the worst hospital in the city. This is where the people go that don't have a prayer of a chance of anything. You can't get nurses to go there. We find people in trouble, and we bring help to the room where they're needed, when they're needed, as they're needed. And we can track them all on the internet. So inside the hospital, you can get it on your iPhone, you can get it on your BlackBerry or any kind of appliance. But if you want to have a loved one following somebody in a hospital, you can actually, you know, if you're here in Seattle and you've got somebody in California, you can participate in that. We're going to roll that out this quarter.
All right. Thanks, Patrick. You're not going to put any Star Trek sound effects in there with that, you know, voice telling people to get back.
Well, it sounds like the voice that you'll hear outside is sort of like out of the 2001 Space Odyssey.
Okay, that's cool. Well, while we're sort of getting on a science fiction theme here, we're going to wrap up with In Touch Health. Yulin, you have a robot that doctors can use to examine patients, whether they're 10 miles away or 1,000 miles away. It's a way for doctors to be in two places at once.
Yeah, to kind of continue with your theme about Star Trek, because that actually, our ultimate goal is to do what Doc does in Star Trek. Doc's sitting on Enterprise. There's an alien in some distant planet who's sick. Doc beams over to that alien, fixes him, and then beams back to Enterprise. So what we have is, if you think about the healthcare system, what we're doing is very complementary to what Patrick here is doing. If you think about the healthcare system, which is the headliner in the news today, some of the statistics going on are that in the last 30 years, life expectancy has gone up 30 years. Last 100 years, life expectancy has gone up about 30 years, and it's increasing at a rate of about a year for every 4 to 5 calendar years. And in fact, I was at a talk yesterday where the gentleman said that a person born today has a 50% chance of reaching 100 years old. So so what that's done is it's shifted to an aging demographics, and we all know that. And the other thing is very easy to know is that as you get older, you need more health care. Now, what's going on simultaneously is that the number of healthcare workers, the number of doctors and nurses who've graduated from our schools over the last 30 years has been constant. And so you've got an aging population, you also have an increasing population, and you've got the same number of caregivers, and medicine's continuing to get more advanced. And as it gets more advanced, it's continuing to subspecialize. And as it subspecializes, you as a patient, you need someone of a particular specialty who is often further geographically removed. For example, one of the areas we work in a lot is with patients with stroke. Stroke is the third leading cause of death. It's the first leading cause of disability, and yet only 4% of patients are treated properly. Why is that? It's because usually by the time the right expertise is to the bedside of the patient, it's too late. It's not because they do the wrong thing, it's that they just don't get there soon enough to do the right treatment. There's a window of time, it's roughly 3 hours, where you got to do the right thing for the stroke. So what we do with our robotics is we project that physician there. And I can actually do a quick little demo if that's okay.
Looks like we're down about 44 seconds left on the timer, though.
Okay. Well, so let me, I got it set up right over here.
Okay, we'll be
And
quick.
I'll do it in 1 minute. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to log into my office in Santa Barbara, which is where. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually beaming in to my robot, and I'm just on the internet here. I'm plugged in. I'm unplugging myself, and I'm driving over to the window here, and there we are. And so that's what we look like. And I'm the doctor, and as a doctor, I can drive up next to the patient here, and I can go right up to the patient. I can look at the patient's face. I can actually look at their pupils. I can look over at the vital signs right over here. I can see what the blood pressure is, what the oxygen is, etc. And then I can leave. And that's my quick little demo here. It's one of those things that's hard to explain.
Awesome.
So that was it.
Now, when do I get to have my own robot? That's what I want to know. Thank you all very much. Our FiReStars, and it's going to be a lot of fun watching these companies because there's so much potential on this stage. Thank you all very much.